Hey, well, it's good news for the federal government. Looks like they're going to raise the debt ceiling. When they do that, they're going to possibly get these other stimulus bills out the door. So you have the budget plan, $3.5 trillion budget plan, and then you have the $1.9 trillion infrastructure plan. Already, the federal government is $28 trillion in debt. They're going to add another $5 trillion in debt. What do they want to do? They want to go out there and they want to tax more people on a higher level. Yes, they want to tax the rich, but $5 trillion is a ton of money from the federal government. But they're going to raise the debt ceiling so they can pay for these programs. To me, it seems like maybe at some point, the federal government should say, you know what, why don't we taper down some of the programs that we're paying for? Let's do it like normal people, like businesses, where they have to work within a budget. Well, if you have a printing press and you can print as much money as you want, it doesn't really matter. They can just continue to borrow and spend, borrow and spend. And that's a problem. I think that we look to local city governments. They're the ones that have to work within a budget. Those are the ones that I like because, yes, they have to raise those budgets and then go out there and they can spend only what they bring in. If you have a checkbook that's unlimited, you can just continue to print and make more deals. And maybe that's good for a lot of stimulus. I don't know. But right now they have the American Jobs Plan. It's inside the infrastructure bill. The American Families Plan is inside of the $3.5 trillion budget plan. They'll probably get both of these budget plans passed, and then there'll be another huge money spent in the federal government. How does this affect everybody? Well, it affects everybody in one way is going to be the inflation. All the inflation is going to continue to rise. You're going to have prices continue to go up. But what they'll do is the federal government will probably send out another stimulus check. Now, there is a support act that's inside of the House of Representatives right now. This support act is possibly going to be getting a $1,200 payment that goes out to everybody. Again, the federal government has to borrow that money or they have to increase that. And if you increase taxes on people, they're not going to be happy about it, and they're going to try to figure out ways to not pay those taxes. So it's going to be very invasive for the federal government. So right now you have the Republicans, the Democrats, they all came together to raise this debt ceiling. Every few years, this whole debt ceiling thing comes about, and they talk about it, and they say, all right, we're going to, not raise the debt ceiling. One party says that, one party doesn't. But they end up coming together and raising the debt ceiling because it's their incomes that they're talking about here. And a lot of people's incomes. And yes, I agree that federal government should not shut down because they've promised people so much. They promised Social Security. They promised, Medicare and all that. They've promised so much that they cannot default on that. Now, at some point down the road, I think they're going to be coming up with a lot of competition from other places, like cryptocurrencies and things like that. That's going to be a competition to their printing press. That's going to put a lot of pressure on them. And then in the future, will they have to be getting more stimulus checks out? I think in the future, what will happen is that the cryptocurrencies and we'll get a sound money. And when you get sound money, then everybody benefits because then there won't be inflation. Instead of paying $2.50 for a cup of coffee and that price continues to rise, you're going to pay in 2 cents, and 2 cents is going to allow everybody to benefit from it. It's not going to be this inflation from the federal government. They're not going to be able to print the money out there. And we've seen what happens to Venezuela. We've seen what happens to a lot of these other countries that just have a giant printing press and they go out there and print the money out there. Good news for a lot of states, though. I mean, they're going to be sending out stimulus checks. It looks like Texas, individually, cities are going to be sending out stimulus. Each state received billions of dollars from the federal government, and they're going to take that money and they're going to send it out to people in that area. The whole point of the stimulus was to get people to get those money and then go out there and spend it. I think the Federal Reserve right now they're worried about the velocity of money, basically meaning money getting turned over. That's been declining over the past 10 years. People aren't spending the money like they used to. So what they're trying to do is stimulate the economy. They're trying to spend the money into it. And right now, I don't think it's working. I think that right now they're trying to spend it into the economy. It's just the people that are getting hurt by it is everybody. Everybody's getting hurt by it. Yes, people that are rich, they can afford to take in more inflation, but those that are working on minimum wage, it's tough for them to survive because of the fact the inflation, all these prices are rising. So anyways, Texas is going to be sending out payments, $2,000 for people in Irvine to go back to work. A lot of the other states like Tennessee, they're going to be sending out payments to $1,000 to full-time teachers. I don't know why a lot of these other states aren't just sending out stimulus checks like the federal government did, but they're targeting specific groups. New Mexico is sending out $750 in emergency financial assistance. This is something that 4,000 households got a hold of with that check. You have Florida, they're going to be sending out $1,000 checks to educators. This is going to be something that also EMTs, emergency EMTs, firefighters, and paramedics, police officers are also going to be getting in that $1,000 payments. I think they're continuously sending those out. I'm not sure if everybody received those yet. California is one of the bigger states that did send out a stimulus check, and they're sending out $1,100 stimulus payments to people in the state of California. So I think it's good news for those that live in California. If you do file your returns with the state, you'll be able to pick up that payment. So look for that. That could be deposited into your bank account. It also could be deposited into your, or just sent to you in a check. So some of the other states are going to be Tennessee, Georgia, Maryland, Michigan, Colorado. These are other states that are sending out certain stimulus checks. New York has $2.1 billion set aside for, I think it's undocumented workers. Then you have the city of New York. They're going to be sending out $5,000 payments to, I think it's artists. And then also they have the taxi cab drivers are going to be getting money. And plus you have the homeless in New York City they're trying to spend money onto. So they are taking that money and they're using it. Now, some of the states are actually using the money for other stuff, which is unfortunate. They should be taking that stimulus payments and sending it out. Ultimately, whether you're Democrat, Republican, whether you believe in government spending, whether you don't believe in the government spending, ultimately when the government spends so much money and they print this money from the Federal Reserve, it's causing inflation to go through the roof. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing prices just absolutely go insane. So what I am trying to encourage people to do is, if you have the ability to go to your governors or go to your state legislature, go to them and let them know that there is money in the Treasury from the federal government, and they have to spend that money into the economy, and they have to spend that money into their citizens. And if they don't, they're going to have to give that money back at the end of the month, at the end of the year on December 31st. And I know most of these states, they don't want to send that money back. They want to take that money and they want to spend it back into their economies. Now, the whole debt ceiling, like I said, it goes back and forth from Democrats, Republicans, whoever is in charge. They're the ones that are going to benefit from this. But they go back and forth. And see, the Republicans, they want to spend money on other things. They don't want to spend it on stimulus. They want to spend it on military and infrastructure. The Democrats want to take the money from the wealthy, and they want to redistribute it through to lower class people, which it's a noble idea. I get it. Everybody wants to help support people. But the issue that comes about, and we're seeing right now, is that if you give money to people and then they can just sit at home and not do anything, then we don't have a productive society. And we need producing. We need people going out there and working. We have to have people that are producing goods and services. We have to have people that are manufacturing, even though a lot of the manufacturing has been shipped out to other countries. So we have to have people that are productive. And right now it's been a shame that the federal government is going to continue to print money and just give it out to everybody in the form of more stimulus, making people, get employment. So it's something that I think a lot of people should say, we need to go out there and start being more productive. We got to go out there and make things. We got to manufacture things. We got to be able to start to have things that people want. You look at some of the other countries, they're manufacturing all the products for the rest of the world. And at some point, some of these other countries are going to say, hey, you know what? We need actual goods that you send us back, not actually paper that you print up in a printing press. But there's going to be a lot of competition from the stable coins that are coming out now. A lot of the things, the second layer base on Bitcoin is going to be coming out, where you're going to be having stable coins on the Bitcoin blockchain. That's going to be good. Cryptocurrencies in the future are good for everybody because it's going to give everybody sound money. It's going to give everybody is going to have on basically equal. Now, some people that are more productive could create more cryptocurrencies. But the thing is they're not going to be inflated. Your prices aren't going to be inflated. Everybody's going to pay the same. So somebody that's very wealthy is going to pay $2 or 2 cents for a cup of coffee versus the person that doesn't have enough resources are going to pay the 2 cents per coffee. But if you are able to raise a couple $100 a month, and let's just say a couple $100 a month, and coffee is 2 cents, it's easy to live. It's easy to be able to support yourself on that, on that currency. So right now, the federal government, I think, is going to come over the course of the next couple of years. You're going to see them really start to ramp up their either spending or ramp up their trying to find all the money that they can raise in order to do that, because there's going to be huge competition coming out from these cryptocurrencies, and that is good for everybody in the future.